Has WWE just shattered the laws of wrestling history? Because what we are about to witness isn't just a return. It's an extinction-level event. Tonight, the entire WWE Universe trembles as WWE officially confirms the return of not one, but two of the most dominant forces ever to step foot in the squared circle. Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar. Two beasts, two legacies, one night. And this time, they're not coming back as rivals. They're walking into the same ring, on the same show, at the same time. But why? And more terrifyingly, for whom? For years, they stood on opposite sides of the battlefield. Roman Reigns, the cold, calculating tribal chief who ruled WWE with an iron fist and a golden championship. And Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, the man who ended the streak, who redefined what dominance even looked like. Their clashes were the stuff of myth, WrestleMania wars drenched in blood, sweat, and the kind of real fear only two apex predators can provoke in each other. But that era ended, or so we thought. Brock vanished into the mist. Roman's empire crumbled piece by piece. Until now. Because today, WWE didn't just confirm a match. They confirmed a storm. Sources close to SmackDown Creative tell us that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are both scheduled for a simultaneous return on the next episode of SmackDown. No vignette. No cryptic teaser. A full-force reemergence. But what makes this return so terrifying isn't just the names. It's the context. Roman Reigns, once untouchable, was humiliated, publicly dethroned, emotionally betrayed, and left broken by his own bloodline. Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman. Even his brothers. The dynasty he built shattered from within, and Roman disappeared without a word. Vanished. Isolated. Hurt. And Brock Lesnar? He's been gone longer. Silent since the chaos surrounding SummerSlam. No interviews. No PR appearances. Nothing. Until whispers began swirling. Backstage agents moving differently, security rehearsals getting stricter, creative teams being pulled into private, off-the-record meetings. Something was coming. Something they couldn't contain in a sizzle reel or a 30-second teaser. Something that needed silence, until now. So the question isn't if Reigns and Lesnar are coming back. It's why together? Why now? What brought the two most violent men in modern WWE history to the same side of the fence? Is it revenge? Or is it something far more dangerous, redemption? One producer inside WWE Creative described the vibe surrounding this SmackDown as nuclear. There are rumors, unconfirmed but growing louder, that Roman reached out first. That in his darkest hour, with the bloodline fractured, with Heyman betraying him to side with Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa, he made a call to the one man he never thought he'd need. Brock Lesnar. And Brock, the beast with no master, answered. Because make no mistake. Brock Lesnar doesn't align himself with anyone unless there's a kill in sight. He doesn't return to form alliances. He returns for blood. And if Roman and Brock are truly walking into SmackDown together, someone's getting crushed. Possibly multiple someones. Let's rewind. We all remember the last time these two met, not just face to face, but bone to bone. It was SummerSlam. It was brutality with a tractor. It was suplexes into the LED boards, steel stairs flying like weapons, blood smearing Roman's gold. The tribal chief barely escaped with the title that night. Brock stood tall even in loss. But after that? A strange silence. No rematch. No revenge. Just disappearance. Some fans thought they'd written each other off. A chapter closed. But that's not how legends operate. No, this isn't a sequel. This is a reboot. And it's darker than anything we've seen before. Because if this is a return of two warriors united, then who becomes the enemy? The locker room isn't ready. Seth Rollins is still recovering from injuries sustained at Saturday night's main event. Solo Sikoa has consolidated his control over what remains of the bloodline. Paul Heyman is smiling again, thinking the past has buried itself. But what if Roman and Brock didn't just come back for the throne? What if they came back for the traitors who took it? Let's be honest. This isn't about a title anymore. This is about legacy. Vengeance. Dominance. Think about it. Who has Heyman betrayed more than anyone in WWE history? Roman Reigns. And Brock Lesnar. Twice. He used them, manipulated them, and ultimately turned them against each other. But now, the game has changed. Paul Heyman might have thought he was orchestrating the future of SmackDown when he aligned with Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa. But if Roman and Brock are on the same side? Heyman's days are numbered. And here's the other whisper. Jon Moxley. Yes. That Jon Moxley. Formerly Dean Ambrose. The third member of The Shield. He's not signed with WWE right now, but that hasn't stopped the rumors from exploding backstage. One anonymous source says this return isn't just about blowing up the bloodline. It's about rewriting what dominance looks like. It's about burning the Shield's old legacy and building a new one, through pain. Could Moxley be returning too? Or is his name being used to distract us from the real war forming? Because let's not forget, SmackDown is vulnerable right now. Its champions are fragile. Its factions are fractured. Solo Sikoa leads by fear, but that fear is cracking. JUSO? Gone. Jimmy? Unstable. Jacob Fatu and Zilla? Torn between blood and loyalty. The table is wobbling, and now the monsters are walking back in to flip it. So when WWE confirms this return, not in theory, not in rumor, but in official booking, you know they're not just making a ratings play. They're setting up a massacre. A war is coming to SmackDown. And we may be witnessing the rise of a new reign, built not on family, but on force. Because what do you do when the most dangerous beast in company history walks in with the most strategic, wounded general of the modern era? You run. Or you beg that it's all just a swerve. But what if it's not? What if Roman isn't returning to rebuild? What if he's returning to destroy everything? And what if Brock, for the first time ever, agrees? This could be the biggest swerve or alliance WWE has ever booked. The implications are staggering. Titles might fall. Factions might dissolve. And the old guard? They're already looking over their shoulder. People forget, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar aren't just superstars. They're system breakers. When Roman held the undisputed championship for over 1,000 days, it wasn't about storytelling. It was about suffocation. He didn't lead. He conquered. And Brock? He ended The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak, the single most protected legacy in WWE history, with one F5 and no remorse. These aren't men. These are monsters. And now they're marching towards SmackDown, together. If you think this is just nostalgia, think again. WWE isn't booking this moment for a handshake. They're booking it for carnage. Which leaves only one question: who's the target? Is it Solo Sikoa, the self-proclaimed heir to the island of relevancy? Is it Paul Heyman, the brain behind every betrayal in the last 5 years? Or is it the entire locker room, from LA Knight to Austin Theory, from Cody Rhodes to Logan Paul, standing in the path of something they can't contain? And beyond all that, is this the setup for the biggest betrayal we've ever seen? Because what happens if Roman and Brock aren't allies? What if the alliance is a ruse? What if one of them is walking into SmackDown not to team up, but to tear the other apart once and for all? If that's the case, then WWE hasn't just confirmed a return. They've confirmed a reckoning. The night is coming. The lights will drop. The music will hit. And either the crowd will erupt into chaos, or fall silent in horror. Because SmackDown won't survive two monsters sharing the same ring for long. You've been warned. The music hit first. That ominous, slow burn of Roman Reigns' entrance theme. A sound that once commanded obedience now evoked confusion. There was no Paul Heyman at his side. No Usos in tow. Just Roman, hood up, face shadowed, eyes cold. The tribal chief, dethroned and reborn. The crowd erupted, but it wasn't a celebration. It was a warning siren. And then, seconds later, it hit again. The scream of Brock Lesnar's beastly entrance. A flash of strobe lights. A storm of adrenaline. But this wasn't Cowboy Brock. No man bun. No smile. This was the destroyer. The mercenary. The nightmare. The beast incarnate walked out with no hesitation, and zero explanation. And in that moment, the entire WWE Universe froze. Because standing side by side in the center of the ring were two former enemies, two warlords, sharing one spotlight. Sharing one purpose. But they didn't speak. They just stared. At the crowd. At the camera. And maybe, at each other. Because what no one can answer, not the announcers, not the roster, not even the fans screaming in their seats, is this. Are they here to save SmackDown, or to bury it? Backstage, chaos erupted. Security scrambled. Seth Rollins, still limping from his injury at Saturday night's main event, was reportedly rushed out of the building. Paul Heyman was nowhere to be found. Some claim he fled as soon as production told him Lesnar was in the parking lot. Solo Sikoa? Radio silent. Neither seen nor heard from since the moment Roman's return was confirmed. And that's when the screen cut. Not to a commercial. Not to a video package. To a darkened corridor. A live camera followed footsteps. One heavy. One fast. The feed was shaky. Security guards murmured. Then suddenly, two silhouettes stepped into the frame. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar were storming the locker room. Together. Doors slammed. Staff scrambled. And without a single punch thrown yet, the message was clear: this wasn't a reunion. It was a raid. A voiceover from Michael Cole tried to provide context, but even he couldn't find the words. Ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's happening. I've never seen this. Roman and Brock, they're not fighting. They're moving as one. And that's when the lights in the arena flickered. Just once. Then again. Then cut out completely. The crowd gasped. A single spotlight returned, illuminating the stage. And standing there, arms crossed, teeth bared in a half-smirk, was Paul Heyman. But he wasn't alone. Solo Sikoa emerged behind him. No emotion. No mic. Just presence. And in that one, electric stare down, the truth revealed itself: this wasn't just about returns. This was a war of fathers and sons. Of traitors and kings. And in the middle of that war, stood Heyman, the devil who built them all. For years, Paul Heyman molded Roman Reigns into the tribal chief. He whispered into Brock Lesnar's ear before every major conquest. He orchestrated victories, betrayals, and title reigns that defined eras. But tonight, he stood before his two greatest monsters. Both unleashed, both unpredictable, and for the first time in years, he looked afraid. Then Roman moved. Down the ramp. No microphone. No pyro. Just thunder in his boots. Brock followed behind, not at his side, but just a step back. Like a soldier awaiting orders. And if that wasn't enough to unnerve Heyman, the look in Roman's eyes did the rest. This wasn't the man who ruled with family. This was the man who was ready to rule with fury. What happened next was pure chaos. Roman stepped into the ring. Heyman, hands raised, tried to plead. His voice cracked as he shouted, "I made you. I made you both." But Roman didn't stop. And Brock? He didn't flinch. Then, with one earth-shattering motion, Roman speared Solo Sikoa out of nowhere. The crowd lost it. Heyman screamed. And Brock? Brock F5D Paul Heyman straight through the commentary desk. The arena exploded. For years, fans begged for a moment like this. When the monsters finally turned on the man behind the curtain. And now, it had happened. The Beast and the Chief had become judge, jury, and executioners. But it wasn't over. Roman grabbed the mic. The first words he'd spoken since his disappearance. His voice was low. Controlled. You took everything from me. Now I take it back, by force. He didn't say tribal chief. He didn't say acknowledge me. He said force. And in WWE, that means only one thing. Domination. As paramedics rushed down, as Solo Sikoa was pulled from the ring and Heyman loaded onto a stretcher, Roman and Brock stood tall. Not with championship belts. Not with entourages. Just with silence. The kind of silence that precedes a storm. Backstage, reactions poured in. Cody Rhodes looked furious. LA Knight was seen slamming a locker shut. Logan Paul posted a single emoji, a skull. Because everyone knew. SmackDown just shifted. This wasn't about factions anymore. This was about supremacy. The Reigns-Lesnar era had just begun. But here's the question no one can shake off: how long before Brock turns? Because if history has taught us anything, Brock Lesnar doesn't serve. He doesn't follow. He destroys. And if Roman thinks he can control that beast for long, he may have just lit the fuse on a time bomb that ends with his own obliteration. And if that happens? Then this wasn't a reunion. It was a setup. A slow-burn betrayal. The kind WWE was born to tell. So prepare yourselves. Because next week, the Bloodline isn't the headline. The Empire of Destruction is. And its first act was to decimate its creator. Paul Heyman is gone. Solo Sikoa is broken. And SmackDown? SmackDown is about to burn. The smoke hadn't even cleared. Paul Heyman was stretchered out of the arena with his tie half torn, his glasses shattered, and his body motionless. Solo Sikoa hadn't spoken a word. Security swarmed the ring like riot control. And in the middle of it all, standing tall over the wreckage like gods of a new world, were Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. But make no mistake. This wasn't a celebration. This was a declaration. Roman Reigns didn't return for closure. He returned for conquest. And now, for the first time in nearly a year, the WWE locker room is afraid again. Backstage, producers were scrambling. The official match card was in disarray. Commentators were whispering between segments. Phones were ringing. Calls to Triple H, to creative, to security. No one knew what the next move was, because the return of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar wasn't just unscripted in the kayfabe sense, it was uncontrollable in the real one. Sources within WWE say the atmosphere backstage after SmackDown's closing segment was a mix of awe and absolute panic. One wrestler allegedly told a producer, "If those two are together now, what's the point in even showing up next week?" And maybe that was the point. Because the very next morning, Roman Reigns posted a message to his social media account. Just 7 words. No more family. No more bloodline. Only war. It sent the internet into a frenzy. Within minutes, hashtags like #Reigns and Lesnar, #SmackDown Siege, and #Heyman Out trended worldwide. Fans didn't just want answers, they wanted vengeance, matches, survivors. But more than that, they wanted to know what the plan was. Because if Roman was returning without the bloodline, then who was his new army? The answer might already be standing next to him. Brock Lesnar. But herein lies the most terrifying possibility: what if Roman doesn't even want to control Brock anymore? What if he's just letting him loose? In past eras, alliances were built on strategy, on trust. But this isn't the Shield. This isn't the Authority. This isn't even the bloodline. What Roman has done now is summon a force of nature and turned it loose on an unstable roster. The beast is not a partner. He's a punishment. And right now, SmackDown is the target. This became clear during the following week's WWE programming, specifically during Raw, where talent from both brands watched Roman and Brock's SmackDown destruction in silence backstage. The camera lingered on Cody Rhodes, who finally spoke after hours of rumors. If Roman thinks he can rewrite history with a monster at his side, he's mistaken. You don't rewrite history. You earn it. And he'll pay for what he's done to this company, with or without Lesnar. A bold statement. But here's the problem. Even Cody knows what it's like to fall to the bloodline. And now, the bloodline has evolved into something worse. Something primal. Something no longer bound by family or titles. It's Brock and Reigns, together, tearing the page out of the WWE rulebook and setting it on fire. At the upcoming Friday Night SmackDown, WWE has officially announced a State of the Island segment, where Roman Reigns will speak live to the WWE Universe. Brock Lesnar is confirmed to be in the building. No one else has accepted an invitation. Which makes sense. Because no one wants to walk into a trap. And that might be exactly what this is. What if this whole alliance is bait? What if Roman is using Brock to wipe the board clean, before doing what Roman Reigns has always done best? Turn. Don't forget, Roman Reigns has never shared power. Not with the Usos. Not with Paul Heyman. Not even with the WWE Universe. He only tolerates power until it threatens him. And Brock Lesnar? He doesn't tolerate anything. He destroys it. So what happens when Brock realizes Roman is calling the shots again? That he's just a pawn in Roman's plan for vengeance? You don't control the beast. You feed him. And if Roman stops feeding him enemies, Brock might just turn on the hand that fed him. There are already signs. In a leaked backstage video from after SmackDown's taping, Lesnar was caught on camera, alone. No words. Just pacing. Breathing heavy. His hands clenched. His boots shaking the ground with every stomp. A cameraman whispered off-screen, "Is he okay?" Another replied, "He wanted more. More destruction. More blood. More war." Which begs the question, is Roman Reigns still the architect, or just the first target in Brock's next path of destruction? And then came the curveball. A cryptic tweet from a verified wrestling insider, Shield Reborn. But not how you think. What does that mean? Could this war draw out someone else from Roman's past? Could this be the beginning of a reformation, or a resurrection? Because if Brock is the beast Roman uses to take down the bloodline's remains, then who will Roman turn to once Brock turns on him? Jon Moxley? Seth Rollins? Is WWE preparing to bring back the three most dangerous men of a generation, for one final war? Or is this all just smoke and mirrors, WWE letting chaos drive speculation while Roman and Brock carve their own path towards something bigger than gold? One thing is certain. SmackDown is no longer a brand. It's a battleground. And in the middle of it now stands Roman Reigns, not asking for acknowledgement, not asking for loyalty, just demanding obedience. Through fire. Through pain. Through fear. And next week, that fear spreads. Because WWE has now confirmed the main event of SmackDown. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar vs. LA Knight and Sheamus. A test. A warning. A massacre in the making. But here's the twist. Brock hasn't confirmed he'll tag in. He hasn't spoken to anyone. He hasn't even blinked. He's shown up. Wreaked havoc. Then disappeared. So what happens when that match bell rings, and Brock Lesnar refuses to be Roman's weapon anymore? What happens when the tribal chief finds himself face to face with a beast that no longer recognizes commands? SmackDown may burn. But it might take Roman with it. The main event was set. The arena was sold out. The energy, volatile. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, together in a tag team match for the first time ever. Facing off against two of SmackDown's most battle-tested warriors, LA Knight and Sheamus. On paper, it was a spectacle. A showcase. But beneath the surface, every fan knew the truth: this was a ticking time bomb. And it didn't take long for the fuse to burn down. As the bell rang, LA Knight started things off with fire. Rushing Roman Reigns with a series of forearms and strikes, trying to stun the tribal chief early. Roman absorbed every blow. Silent. Calculated. Then, boom. A thunderous uppercut that floored LA Knight in a single shot. The crowd roared, but it wasn't joy. It was fear. Roman wasn't smiling. He wasn't taunting. He was hunting. And Brock? Brock Lesnar didn't move. He stood on the apron, arms folded, not even glancing toward Roman. No hand extended. No acknowledgement. The beast was present. But distant. Like a storm building quietly on the edge of the horizon. As the match continued, Roman did all the work. He punished LA Knight, taunted Sheamus, kept the pace methodical and cruel. And when LA Knight finally broke free, scrambling toward Sheamus and making the tag, Roman turned to his corner. And Brock Lesnar dropped to the floor. The crowd gasped. Roman's expression didn't change, but his eyes burned a hole through Brock. He shouted, "No mic needed, get back up here." Lesnar didn't respond. He just stared. Sheamus launched at Roman with a clothesline. The match shifted. Roman was now on the defensive. But all anyone could look at was the beast, circling the ring like a predator watching its prey from the shadows. This wasn't strategy. It was refusal. Roman fought back. Landed a Superman punch. Dropped Sheamus. Crawled toward the corner, dazed. Reached up again for the tag. And Brock? He walked away. Not to the back. Not to catering. Just far enough to say, "I'm not your weapon. Not anymore." The crowd exploded in disbelief. Roman turned, eyes wide, mouth twitching with rage. And then came the brogue. Sheamus leveled Roman Reigns with a brogue kick. The pinfall was seconds away. 1. 2, Roman kicked out. Barely. But something broke in him. Not bones. Pride. Because as the match ended, through chaos, confusion, and a desperate Superman punch to seal victory, Roman stood in the ring, victorious by technicality but defeated in spirit. He had returned as a god. But his beast had refused to kneel. As LA Knight and Sheamus limped away, Roman grabbed a mic. The crowd was still chanting, "We want Brock," but Roman didn't wait for silence. His voice was thunder. "I brought him back. I let him walk beside me. And now he walks away? Fine. Let him. Because the next time he stands across from me, he'll fall." And then, from the top of the ramp, Brock Lesnar's music hit again. But this time, he didn't smile. He didn't shout. He didn't storm the ring. He just lifted the mic and spoke 7 words. "I don't follow kings. I eat them." Then he dropped it. And walked into the crowd. Leaving Roman Reigns alone in the ring. And that's when the lights cut. Blackness. Silence. The crowd held its breath. Then, a heartbeat. A single beat, echoed across the arena. Then static. Then a face. Jon Moxley. Appearing on the screen, backstage. Blood on his shirt. A pipe in his hand. No words. Just a smile. And fade to black. When the lights came back on, the arena was frozen. Not in silence, but in shock. Because that one image, Jon Moxley, pipe in hand, blood-soaked shirt, dead stare into the camera, was more than just a return. It was a ghost from Roman Reigns' past. A ghost WWE tried to bury. A ghost that once wore a flak jacket, marched through the crowd, and made wrestling history alongside Roman and Seth. But this? This wasn't Dean Ambrose. This was Jon Moxley. And if that pipe in his hand wasn't clear enough, the fire in his eyes was, he hadn't come back to join Roman's war. He'd come to finish it. Backstage, WWE security scrambled. Producers screamed into headsets. Michael Cole stuttered on commentary. The official WWE Twitter account posted one sentence, "Jon Moxley is in the building." And suddenly, the entire WWE locker room shifted. Because now the war wasn't just Roman versus Solo. Or Roman versus Brock. It was something deeper. Something ancient. A war of the Shield. Think about it. Seth Rollins, still injured but watching from the shadows. Roman Reigns, bruised, humiliated, stripped of his family and his control. And now, Moxley. The final piece. But what side is he on? Over the next 24 hours, the question tore through the wrestling world like wildfire. Wrestling podcasts exploded. Fans on Twitter resurrected clips of the Shield's debut, their betrayals, their reunions. Every segment was dissected. Every facial expression examined. Was Moxley here to help Roman rise again, or to drag him back down to the mud where he left him? And then WWE made the announcement. This Friday on SmackDown, Roman Reigns responds to Moxley. Live. No filters. No scripts. But Moxley beat them to it. That Wednesday, a grainy black and white video surfaced on WWE's YouTube. It wasn't flashy. No production. No music. Just a man sitting in a dark room. Moxley. His voice was gravel. His tone flat. Roman. I didn't come back to play soldier. I came back because you forgot who you are. You built an empire on lies. On fear. On Paul Heyman's words and bloodline bullshit *T. You forgot the pain. The chaos. The brotherhood. I didn't. He paused. You tried to rule. I tried to run. Seth tried to survive. But we're not kings, Roman. We're wolves. And wolves don't kneel. They hunt. He stood up, walking toward the camera. You want SmackDown? Fine. But I'm not here for your kingdom. I'm here for your soul. Then, static. The screen cut out. And just like that, Moxley wasn't a tease. He was a threat. Roman's reaction on SmackDown was nothing short of nuclear. The show opened not with his music, but with his rage. He stormed into the arena from the parking lot. No entrance. No pyro. Just fists slamming doors. He walked into the ring, demanded a mic, and with blood still crusted in the corner of his mouth, he spoke, "You think I forgot? About the barbed wire. The betrayals. About Seth swinging a chair into my spine? You think I forgot what the Shield cost me?" He looked dead into the hard camera. Moxley. You want chaos?